What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel. As I always say, this is something that we do. Hell, man, I've been doing this since Mark Ellis and I were making videos back in the day, and we did the best of for the year, the things that we saw, the things that we like, and it's just a tradition for a lot of people. When you say, "Hey, listen to what this idiot says," sometimes I don't always agree with him, but I want to hear his movies. I want to hear his opinions. What were the top 10 this knucklehead decided to choose on? And as I always say, and as I've been saying for a very long time, this list consists of the movies that I enjoyed the most. The top 10 that I enjoyed the most. Are some of them maybe better made than some of the others as far as film goes? Sure. Are some of them going to be movies that you didn't like that I did, or maybe vice versa? Maybe we both loved it, and you think we both loved it. Why was it so low on your list? Or was you loved that too much? Should have been lower on your list. Again, my list, but nonetheless going to make it for you. Now, what I always do, well, the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is subscribe, click like, comment, do all that and more. And then we're going to get into it. What I always do when I'm doing these lists, I'll give you some honorable mentions. I just mentioned some of the things, and not just kind of like grouped in things that didn't make the list in no particular order. And maybe if something was very close, I will tell you that. But let's get to it. Let's get to the best of list. Here's some honorable mentions. Check it out. Okay, so this one actually was pretty close to my list, and I thought it was going to make my top 10 all year because I laughed at it so much. I enjoyed it so much, and that is, of course, the remake of The Naked Gun. I just loved it. I watched it. I did a rewatch with Ming. He had never seen it before, and we just laughed our asses off. It was one of those kind of old school comedies. They took the feel of what made the original so special. They didn't remake it. I didn't know what to make when they said, okay, we thought remake, but it's a sequel. And it was funny. Paul Walter Hauser, Liam Neeson, comedic time was great. Pam Anderson, it was a blast. So I really enjoyed that one. So that was on my honorable mention. Frankenstein was another one. This one could have easily made the list, and maybe with even more thinking of it, maybe eventually could have crept its way there. But I just saw it not too long ago. Did a reaction for it on this channel. Del Toro is a master. I thought the hype behind Jacob Elordi's performance was well-deserved. Oscar Isaac, Christoph Waltz. This movie was really a gothic whirlwind, and I loved it. I really liked what they did with it, whether Del Toro's doing stuff with Pinocchio and now Frankenstein. I really dug it. One of the ones, Battle of Wallace Island, was a movie I wasn't too familiar with, and checked it out, and just a little comedy, heartwarming comedy that I dug, thought it worked really well. Carey Mulligan, and it just it was one of those movies I knew absolutely nothing about. I went into it about this couple. They were split. They wind up both they were famous musicians. They wind up getting put on this island because of this fan, and you won't guess what happens. I really liked it a lot. It was nice. Some animated movies, whether it was Kpop Demon Hunters, Zootopia 2. I thought two movies that really stood out this year in the animated. One's In Your Dreams was another movie wasn't expecting anything from, and it turned out to be just another heartwarming, great film. I love what Netflix is doing with animated so far. So both Kpop Demon Hunters, Zootopia 2, In Your Dreams are some animated ones. Is This Thing On? The Bradley Cooper directed, Will Arnett, Laura Dern movie about Will Arnett's character. They're going through this split, him and Laura Dern. He winds up doing stand-up comedy, and with almost like a secret hobby. Not almost, it's a secret hobby, and he's trying to balance his life plus balance the stand-up comedy. And it was a really solid performance by Will Arnett, and everybody's saying this, and maybe unfairly so, but I didn't know he had it in him. He's great in it. And I'll throw a comic book movie in there too, Thunderbolts. Didn't know anything about it. Didn't know how it was going to fare. Marvel's kind of been on a downturn, and it was a solid film that dove a little bit more into kind of classic Marvel of diving into the characters' story and played a little bit more into deeper issues, which I like the thought that Lewis Pullman had a standout performance Florence Pugh obviously carries the movie. And it is it's one of the better Marvel movies in quite a bit, and even better on the rewatch. Those are some of the honorable mentions. Those are just some of the honorable mentions that, as I said, I'm just going to mention a few movies that pop in there. And so there you go. So there's probably some other ones that I probably could have put on the honorable mentions, but those are the ones. Oh, Avatar. Fire and Ash is another movie that I would put on the honorable mentions. It was an enjoyable movie for me. I like the Avatar franchise. I'll watch 87 of those movies. I know maybe the third one wasn't for everybody, but I dug watching it. So honorable mention. All right, it's that time. I always tell you, look, Ridge Wallet. It is the most convenient wallet you're ever going to have in your life. I can't stand the big bulky wallets. I had one. People make fun of you for it, especially when you're going through the airport and stuff. The amount of jokes, we get it. Yeah. Big brick wallet. It's dated, and it is. That's why I love Ridge. There's so much greatness when it comes to Ridge. And if you look at the Ridge 2.0, it is the most refined version of the Ridge wallet. Ridge has been perfecting the wallet for over 12 years. It's made with premium materials like aluminum, titanium, carbon fiber. Look at this. It's so solid, and it just holds together everything here. And I love the Ridge. I got a Giants one. This is the one that I just received. Really excited to put this one to use as well. And I gave a ton of these away for Christmas, and boy, it was a hit. Ridge wallet. There's over 100,000 5-star reviews is proof that Ridge is a gift that people love to receive. It's not just about wallets. They also have everyday carry essentials, key cases, suitcases, and the game-changing power banks, all built with the same sleek, durable design. You're going to find the perfect gift for every wish list. And I'm telling you, I gave a bunch of Ridge away, and people were raving about it. They love it. Losing your wallet, it is the worst. But with the Ridge Tracker card, you'll always know exactly where it is before panic mode kicks in. Perfect peace of mind for your holiday travel and gifting. For a limited time, Ridge is having their huge holiday sale. You head on over to Ridge, RIDGE.com. You get up to 47% off your order. This is by far the biggest discount that they have given all year. That's ridge.com for up to 47% off your order during the biggest sale of the year. So when you purchase, they're going to say, hey, where'd you hear about us? You have to tell them that we sent you. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Ridge. So let's get into the top 10. This is the top 10 for me, my list, the movies I enjoyed the most in 2025. What I like normally, what I've been doing. Now, there's some, if you are following this channel, you subscribe to this channel, you'll see that I'll do some trailer reactions to some of the bigger movies, and I'll go in and I'll say, okay, well, I knew that a little bit what that's about, obviously. So whether it's or the Avengers that just came out or other things, I'll do trailer reactions. There are some movies that I don't want to know anything about. I won't see a trailer. I don't want to know nothing. I just want to see the movie when I am watching it and learn the characters as it evolves. And that was the case with my number 10, The Baltimorons. This is directed by Jay Duplass of the Duplass brothers. Obviously, it stars Michael Strassner, Liz Larson. And this movie is another one that I've been using it a lot in the honorable mentions, and I'll use it here. Heartfelt. It is. And this movie, I knew absolutely nothing about this. This is just these two lost souls kind of find each other on Christmas. And the reason why is because Michael Strassner is he's got something that happened in his past. And then something happens to him while he's with his girlfriend, and it leads him to Dentist, played by Liz Larson. From there, the adventure continues. And Michael Strassner, I never heard of this person, never seen him before, knew nothing about him. What a likable lead character this guy was. And the chemistry that he has with Liz Larson, they just take you on this, and you care about this because you care about them. They make you understand who these two people are and why they have found each other. And it is just a really nice human story. Wasn't expecting to like it as much as I did, and I loved it. I couldn't stop raving about it. So that's my number 10. It deserves it on the list because when I find myself talking about a movie so much and recommending it to people, I say, yeah, I think that it's got to hit the list. So number 10. And I think that Jake Duplass does a great job with these characters. He also wrote this with Michael Strassner. So because of that, like I said, number 10 is the Baltimorons. All right, now we shift to number 9. Now, this might be a little lower on my list than other people's list, but it's still in the top 10. And that is Marty Supreme. Marty Supreme, obviously, Timothée Chalamet, who I believe very well could win the Best Actor role for this movie. This is loosely based on the great Marty Mauser, and it takes place in the 60s. And you've got, or 50s really, Marty Mauser, who it was this ping pong player. He's trying to get his way to the championships. He's trying to get some respect, and he just can't do it without absolute chaos ensuing. Josh Safdie directs this, and I think pretty masterfully takes us through this journey where you think it's going to be this sports film about ping pong. It is not. It is an absolute a tour de force, if you will, by young Timothée Chalamet sounds condescending, but it isn't. He's young and he's awesome. This dude is just firing out next level performances with everything he does. I might be in the minority, but I love the interviews that he gives. I love the confidence that he has, plus the fact that I think some of the interviews has been to hype up this movie because what Marty Mauser does and the way that he is, he's arrogant. And he wants to achieve greatness, and he will do anything in order to do it. And in order to do that, he's got to break some eggs, as they say. And this movie just never really, it's not predictable. And that's what I liked about it a lot. So it's long, but doesn't feel long, if that makes sense, because you are just so locked in to everything that is going on from the second it starts. And I think that that's a testament really to what Josh Safdie and Timothée Chalamet are doing in tandem with each other. And there's Gwyneth Paltrow is in this movie and what she does and the relationship that she has. And I will say also the other performance that I want to shout out in this one is Odessa A'zion, who I actually, before, I think the beginning of this year, Jennifer Esposito came in to the studio and we interviewed her for her film, Fresh Kills, that she directed and wrote. And Odessa was in this movie and she was a real big standout. And I remember talking to her and saying, yeah, she's really going to do something special. And she does it in Marty Supreme. She's fantastic in the film. She goes back and forth with Timothée Chalamet, and their performances alone are well watched and worth. So with number 9, Marty Supreme. All right, so then number 8. You know what's so funny? I was going through my most anticipated list, and I always like to do this afterwards, and I'll do like, honorable mentions, and then I look at the actual list and see out of the most anticipated, how many made my top 10, and I think this year 2 or 3. 2 definitely, maybe 3. But not a lot out of the 10 made the top 10. One of the ones that was not on my most anticipated, I'll tell you that right now, is Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery. So I really enjoyed the first Knives Out, Rian Johnson's mystery, kind of Clue-esque films with Benoit Blanc, of course, Daniel Craig, star-studded cast every single time. The first one had that. I didn't love the second one. I thought the second one was predictable, that it started to lose its magic. I thought that there was just some stuff that, you just knew right away what they were doing. And I was like, it just didn't, maybe they should not make any more of these. It's going to turn into an Ocean's 12 type thing where they're just making movies behind, and it's their inside joke that's not really working for everybody else. They shut me up real quick because this movie works. Benoit Blanc is back in this tale. This time, he's trying to help out a priest, played by Josh O'Connor. And Josh O'Connor finds himself in this place. He's a priest who's like, okay, wait a minute. There's this other Monsignor Jefferson Wicks, played by Josh Brolin, has a real hold on this church. And he's just trying to do the right thing. And then, of course, something goes down, somebody gets killed, and then Josh O'Connor and Daniel Craig have to figure out what's going on. Star-studded cast, as I said. Glenn Close, Mila Kunis, Jeremy Renner, Kerry Washington, Kaylee Spaney, Thomas Hayden Church, Jeffrey Wright. It's to me, that could have lent itself to the problem I have with number 2. All right, great. Big star, all-star cast. Is there any juice? There is. It's clever. I almost said heartfelt again. It is heartfelt. Hell, I'll use it again. But I will really give the credit here to Josh O'Connor. He's got to make you care enough about this priest for about 20 minutes or so before Benoit Blanc even shows up. And he does. I almost forgot that Benoit Blanc was going to show up at all because I was like, I didn't care. I was so intrigued by the story of Father Du Plessis, who Josh O'Connor plays. And it's funny. You care. The mystery is good. I kind of saw what was coming, but it's how they do the reveal at the end that you say, oh, okay, well, maybe I didn't see that coming. Maybe I could guess who it was, but I didn't necessarily see why. And that's what I liked. I think you can tell that Rian Johnson has fun with these movies, and because of it, I've now seen it twice. I watched it once in the theater when I had the limited run that I was able to see it in the theater, and then I did a reaction here on the channel with my friend Sam, and it's even better the second time. So that's why at number 8, I have Knives Out 3. Okay. So now that takes us to number 7 on the list. Another movie that I probably wouldn't have seen nor checked out, didn't watch the trailer. Earlier this year, I did a reaction for the film Barbarian, Zach Cregger. And I was like, oh, after I saw that, because I'm not a big horror guy, but I just like really, when movies are really well done and you can tell there's something about a filmmaker, you want to see what they're going to do next. And Weapons was that for me. So number 7, obviously, is Weapons. We just mentioned Josh Brolin, who's in this one again, Julia Garner in this one, Alden Ehrenreich. And it's kind of pieced together, kind of Tarantino-esque, where you get, here's the story, here's that story again from that perspective, here's the story again, but from that perspective, and here's how it all ties in. And it's a creepy story where, for some reason, these kids, they wake up and like 2 or 3 in the morning, whatever time it was, they all run away with their arms stretched out, and people are like, why? Who did it? And what I also like about this is Amy Madigan coming back as Gladys, and not only coming back, she's getting buzzed. She's getting nominated for this for certain award ceremonies, and rightfully so. This was a movie that, as I've said many times over, that the movie star themselves, yes, there are movie stars and people who have presence, but back in the day, movie stars could put butts in seats with their name alone, and nobody knew what the movie was. Like, oh, the new Tom Cruise movie, the new this movie. That is starting to be the case for me with Zach Cregger. Oh, the new Zach Cregger movie? What's it about? Who's in it? Who cares? Zach Cregger's doing it. I'm going to be in for some kind of adventure. I know he's doing Resident Evil next. I probably would have had no interest in it, but now I'm pumped. It might be on my most anticipated. Not sure yet. But he is the star of this movie. The performances by both Julia Garner, Josh Brolin. Josh Brolin has a moment in this movie that just makes me laugh out loud every time I watch the damn thing. Alden Ehrenreich, another one who does exactly what he needs to do in order to keep you engaged in it. It's graphic at times. Benedict Wong, by the way, also in this movie and phenomenal in it. There's some really graphic scenes in this and hard to watch, but relevant, not just gratuitous. So it's another one that I've seen twice. Saw it in the theater, then I did a reaction to my friend Ming, and it got, I was wondering on the second watch, because I knew everything that was happening, would it get better? And it did. I could watch this movie again and again. And I, as I mentioned earlier, if I continuously recommend movie to people, then it's most likely going to make my list, because that's how much I enjoyed it, and I want to share that enjoyment with other people to say, you've got to check out Weapons. So there you go. At number 7, Weapons. All right, number 6, to be honest with you, if I make this list next week, this could go higher on my list. It really could. It could probably land in my top 3 if I start thinking about it even more. But right now it lands at 6, and it could change. It could change. But I'm making the list today, so it's number 6. I had no interest in seeing Hamnet. I had no interest because I thought it was just going to be an Oscar bait movie. They're like, okay, great. Here we go. Another one of these ones. Yeah, everybody talking about how wonderful it is because it's got this and that, and just they're supposed to vote for it. So Chloe Zhao's making this movie. This movie deserves every bit of hype that it gets. I've said this before. I'll say it again. I don't use the word often when describing a movie. This movie is beautiful. Any hype that came for this, if I would tell my ignorant self that said, "Oh, there's going to be some Oscar bait movie," you're an idiot, because this movie it's a special movie, and it's about William Shakespeare, played by Paul Mescal, who loses his son. That's history. And they got to figure out how to deal with that loss. And as great as Paul Mescal is, and as masterful as Chloe Zhao is telling this story, the story here is Jessie Buckley, who plays Shakespeare's wife. I was not familiar with Jessie Buckley going into this. I know there's other projects that people had seen her in. I had not seen those projects. This woman is a superstar, and not in a movie star kind of way, in a Daniel Day-Lewis kind of way. I have not been so moved by a performance by an actor or actress in such a long time. It's one of the greatest performances I've seen in probably the last 20, 25 years. And I think, as I mentioned, Daniel Day-Lewis, I think it is as strong of a performance as Daniel Day-Lewis had in There Will Be Blood. She takes you through these range of emotions and the understanding of grief and what it is to be a parent. And there's something that just happens at the very end of this movie that should be studied in performances, in range. To me, acting is here. It's in the eyes. It's being able to see if you can really interpret what the person's trying to tell you by looking in their eyes. And that's what happens with her. You see it. And not just in that particular scene, very much so in that scene, but not just in that scene. The chemistry that she has with Paul Mescal. And then you combine that with the absolute poetry of what Chloe Zhao is doing. And I hear myself speaking about this movie. And if you're yelling at me that it should be higher on the list, I'm not going to argue with you, because I'm probably going to argue with myself that this movie should be up higher on the list, especially in a movie that I just didn't have an interest in seeing for an ignorance reasoning. That's it. And I'm so glad that I checked it out. I'm so glad that I watched it. And if anybody beats Jessie Buckley this year, shame, I say. Not that the other performances weren't good, but she's playing on another level. So this is where we're going to start to get into arguments. Because, as I said, I have movies that I watched, that I checked out, that I loved, and that might not even be on some of these lists that you see and you Google, what are the best movies of 2025? I don't see anybody having this movie on the list. There's a few movies on mine that I don't see anybody having on the list. But it ain't their list. It's my list. And as I mentioned, if I've recommended a movie enough times, then it's going to hit my list. I recommended this movie to everyone. Continue to do it. That is The Long Walk. This was directed by Francis Lawrence, of course, of Hunger Games fame. It's stars Cooper Hoffman, David Johnson, and it is based on the Stephen King novel. Now, I don't want to give too much away about the movie, but essentially it's dystopian future. There's a game that's played, and before that sounds like Hunger Games, sounds like Running Man. This was before both of them, before Battle Royale. This was the OG. And it's a dystopian kind of sci-fi, psychological horror. And these group of men, they're they volunteer. They put their names into this lottery. When they're chosen, they keep walking, and you just keep walking until you're the last person walking, and then you win a prize. And Mark Hamill's in this one. He plays the general. And the story here, as I mentioned, Jesse Buckley being the story of of Hamnet. The story here is, yes, it is both Cooper Hoffman and David Johnson's relationship, the chemistry, the fact that the two of them together have to take you on this walk together. And as Cooper is playing Raymond and David is Peter, they form this relationship, and these dudes aren't supposed to have a relationship. They're supposed to be kind of in it for themselves. And I'm just talking about just friends and just people just being able to have that human side come out here, and it does. Ben Wong's also in this movie from Karate Kid, and he's solid in it. The score, I listen to it all the time, the score. But it's not an easy watch, by the way. I've seen it twice. Not an easy watch, but you're so invested. It really is like the warped reality show that it wants to be, that it's trying to be. You know, where Running Man is more so, I guess, like really, you know, that locked in say on what or the statement about reality TV and how we are as a society. This does that. But you feel this in the way that you do when you watch these competition shows. You're learning each character. You're first set up when the networks do these things. They say, okay, here's the person we're going to introduce to you first. We think you're going to like this person. Here's this person. Here's their story. But then you're going to start to meet other people that you might actually even like more than our person that we're telling you that you're going to like. And that's what happens. And and Cooper Hoffman is brilliant in the movie. He's great. He's really great as Ray. David Johnson is a megastar. He's a megastar. From Alien Romulus to this as Pete, I think he should have been nominated. He wasn't even talked about for nominations. This is an award nomination that was left on the table as a best supporting actor. David Johnson is legit in this movie. But I loved this movie. I thought I recommend it to everybody. And it's really high up on my list. It was a movie that I did see it in the theater, was not expecting anything from it, did not see a single trailer from it, wasn't familiar with the book, dug it. So, number 4. Now, as I mentioned before, there were, I think I said 2 movies that were on my most anticipated list that actually made my list. Well, there are actually 3. There were 3. One of those was my number 4, and that is Ryan Coogler's Sinners. Now, this was a movie that I was anticipating because I anticipate everything Ryan Coogler does. I think the man is a genius. Fruitvale Station, Creed, Black Panther movies, and now this one. What he does in this movie, now, kind of new. Now, I still think that the trailer itself, and this isn't a Ryan Coogler problem. This is sometimes the studio does this for some odd reason. They give away way too much in the trailer itself, especially some of the Haley Steinfeld stuff, but it doesn't take away from how great this movie is. What Michael B. Jordan is able to do, and yet again, another collaboration with Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan, and they take this movie, this time period movie, and they take this film and they really introduce you to these 2 brothers played by Michael B. Jordan. And when you think, okay, I'm so interested in these 2 kind of gangster brothers, twins, and initially what you could say is, I don't know if I'm going to see anybody other than Michael B. Jordan in that role. Well, not only do you totally forget Michael B. Jordan it's Michael B. Jordan. You see him as this character. You see him as both characters. And he's able to really make you believe that he's 2 different people with both Smoke and Stack. And you're like, yeah, you understand it. And not even subtle things with the way that they're dressed, but it's it's little things that they're saying, little bits of their personality that you understand, and it's a brilliant performances by Michael B. Jordan. And then when you get into the whole vampire side of this, the way that they play this lore and they give it to you in tidbits throughout it. And Jack O'Connell, another actor who's just been so solid in everything that he's done as the vampire in this movie, pretty terrifying. Haley Steinfeld doing some stuff that, you just forget she's growing up. She's growing up. You remember from True Grit, you see her now, and this is a very sexy role for her, but it's also another solid performance where she's got to do one thing for first half of it, another thing for the second half of it. And yeah, it's just those three performances I just mentioned, but Miles Catton, who Ryan Coogler found, who plays Sammy, by the way. I mean, this is another performance from a kind of unknown who just blows you away. From the second he shows up, you're like, you've got to, he's taking you through this in the way that some of these other characters I mentioned in previous movies, I mentioned Knives Out. He takes you through it, and he's telling you the story through his eyes. And there's things that these characters take you through, and then you couple that with the craziness of the vampire story itself. Delroy Lindo having a stand-up performance, when does he not? Andreen Ward Hammond, who plays Ruthie. There's so many great performances overall. Omar Benson Miller is always great. Jamie Lawson. It's this ensemble, and then what Ryan Coogler does as director and as a storyteller sets this apart from just another vampire movie. There's just so much more to it. It's a character piece. It's emotional, and those are the movies that I always like. So for me, that's why Sinners comes up pretty high at number 4. Okay, number 3. Now, this is another argument piece for people. They're going to go, why is this so high on your list? Because I liked it, and because it told a lot of people about it, and because I love the way it made me feel. And that is F1, the movie. Joseph Kosinski. This guy is just putting out movies, and I think the reason that it's so high on my list is because Joseph Kosinski is making movies in the vein of the films that I used to see when I was a kid in theaters, and he continues to do it. And he did it recently with Top Gun Maverick, and now he does it again with F1 the movie. He's really finding his stride in how to make these things. And I said this is another one. This is the second movie that was on my anticipated list, and one of the reasons it was on my anticipated list is, and I said this in my anticipated video, I'm not necessarily, I'm not even necessarily. I'm not a race car guy. I don't watch F1. I don't watch NASCAR. I don't watch any of this stuff. I don't. But I love race car movies. It's like I know people who don't like baseball, and they love baseball movies. That's how I feel with race car movies. So I was like, okay, Brad Pitt, Joseph Kosinski, Javier Bardem in a race car movie, sign me up. And it delivers, and it's intense in the way that it's shot. But the story, again, as in this entire video, the unknowns or the up and coming actors coming in there and just having a standout performance, and that's Damson Idris. He plays the team member on the hotshot kind of rookie race car driver on the team that Brad Pitt has to join. Javier Bardem is the owner of the team, and they're trying to make this team work. So they bring in Brad Pitt, who has one of the best race car names, maybe of all time, in Sonny Hayes. What a great name. Cole Trickle, Sonny Hayes, great race car name. But he joins the team. Sonny's very set in his ways, has a past of what he could have achieved, didn't do it, what he's struggling with, where he's been, joins the team. Damson Idris plays Joshua Pierce, who has potential, is on this kind of struggling team, this could be his last shot to actually make it, and they've got to come together. Kerry Condon, who is the engineer and puts together the cars, and the love interest to Brad Pitt, she's always wonderful. She's got a great chemistry with Brad Pitt, and the cast that ensues, it also adds to it. And the race car scenes, you're going to ask, well, how are those particular scenes? You feel like you're sitting in the car. The sound around it. I mean, it was one that you should have seen in the theater. If you didn't, you can still, if you have good surround sound, I would suggest cranking it up, because it's everything that you want from a movie like this that you hope to get. You get it. There's some predictable things here too. It is one of those movies to me that is the old school formulaic, if you will, at times. But sometimes formulaic is good. Sometimes formulaic is like, yeah, that's how I wanted to feel. And, even at the end of the movie, you're like, wait, is that going to happen? Maybe that's going to happen. Is that going to happen? Oh, that's pretty much what I thought was going to happen, but that's great. And that's how I felt about this one. I felt great watching F1. It's a movie that I told everybody to check out. It's the first thing that people say, like, hey, F1 just hit on streaming. I didn't get a chance to watch it right now. Loved F1. Joseph Kosinski is another filmmaker to me right now, just making the type of rock music that I like listening to. So for that, F1 is my number 3. Okay. So for a very long time, F1 was sitting on top my number 1 movie of the year for a while before I'd seen a handful of things. And I said, I don't know if anything's going to beat it. It's just like the way that I felt watching that movie. Then a movie comes along that I knew nothing about, thought it was something completely different, and it just blew me away. That movie is my number 2, and that is Derek Cianfrance's Roofman. Now, Roofman, to me, I knew absolutely nothing about. I was talking about this on my live show. I've talked about it in general. I went to see this movie. I saw the poster for it, and the poster is very misleading. It makes it look like this goofy comedy that, it's got Peter Dinklage on the and Channing Tatum on the cover of it, or the poster, and you're like, oh, this is some goofy thing. What is he? He's got sunglasses on and a teddy bear on his head. I don't know what he's doing. This is going to be ridiculous. What is this, like the toy? What is this? It's a true story, and I'll tell you why my opinion changed of going into this movie. I was walking into the theater and I looked at the poster and I saw directed by Derek Cianfrance, and I went, whoa, this is going to be a very different movie than I thought, because Derek Cianfrance is traditionally known for making some pretty heavy stuff. Blue Valentine, The Place Beyond the Pines, The Light Between Oceans, all heavy movies. Really good movies. Heavy movies. Now, that's what I thought now as I was walking in. We're going to get a heavy movie. Not a heavy movie. Different movie for Derek Cianfrance. Not a goofy comedy. True story about this guy who was in the army, I believe, was very detailed when he was there, put together plans, knew how to do things, but when he came back to the real world, couldn't fit it together. So what he started to do is and this is just the beginning, so I'm not really ruining it. This is part of the live story. He began to rob McDonald's, and or not just one McDonald's all over the place. He's robbing them and he's dropping through the roof and robbing them. So after that went south, something else happens where and this is in the trailer for it, he's camping out. I'm going to read the description because I don't want to give away too much. So basically, he's a charismatic criminal while on the run from the police. He hides in a space of a toy store, and he adapts a new identity and becomes involved with an employee, beginning a relationship as unlikely as it is risky. That's the synopsis on IMDb. And it sounds crazy, but especially once you know it's a true story. And this is one of the best performances I think Channing Tatum has ever given. And I like Channing Tatum. And I think this blends what he does really well in one movie. He's good at comedy. We know that from 21 Jump Street and other things. But again, it's not that kind of, not even close to that kind of comedy. He's been in these romantic movies. His chemistry with Kirsten Dunst is electric. They're great together. Believable. And she is so damn likable in this as Lee Wainscott. She's so damn likable. She's a mom trying to just kind of get her things, keep her life intact, trying to manage being a mom. And she winds up getting involved with this with this dude who is maybe more perfect on paper. Something else is going on. It's a solid cast too. Yeah, whether it's Lakeith Stanfield, Ben Mendelsohn, Juno Temple. I loved this movie. This was one, and nobody was talking about this one. This was one of those movies that I can't even tell you that when I was sitting around and people were like, oh, and people who know that I see movies and I do this, I've been doing this for a while. They say, oh, any good movies I should see? I say, yeah, Roofman. They go, what's that? Every single time. What's that? And then you tell them the cast. Channing Tatum, oh, I like him. Kirsten Dunst, oh, I like her. And then you say it's a true story. And when you just give a little bit of the premise of the true story, they go, really? That really happened? It's like, yeah, watch it. Check it out. And it to me was one of the biggest surprises all year for me. My wife just recently watched it again. I was like, this is one of those movies that if it's on, I'm just going to check it out because there's so many, there are these moments of, you see like real human behavior. And when you see what this dude did during this time and why he had to do it and why he made the choices he made, can you make really bad choices and still be a good person? The answer to me, I think, is absolutely yes, and I think it's proven in throughout this particular movie. But I love what Channing Tatum does here. I think it's a must watch for people. If you haven't checked it out, you should check it out, especially during the holidays. You should check it out. So Roofman comes in number 2 for me on my list. All right, so number 1. Now this is yet again another movie that was on my most anticipated list. Now, when it was on my most anticipated list, it had a different name. They changed the name of it. The name of it was the Battle of Bacton Cross. Wound up being one battle after another. So I had an interesting journey with this movie. When I saw this movie in the theater the first time, I really liked it. Really liked it. And I said, this is going to be one of those movies people are going to be talking about. Maybe it's not for everybody, but it's just it is more so of the Paul Thomas Anderson that we know and love. It is a very different kind of movie. There's more action and stuff in this than he normally does, but it still had that kind of Boogie Nights feel to it in the way that it's just this like another movie that's longer but doesn't feel long. And I remember seeing the movie going, yeah, okay, this is a very solid movie. Someone then said to me, and I can't remember if it was a fan or whatever it was, they said, you should really watch it again because it gets that much better on the rewatch. And I said, well, yeah, I'll be the judge of that. So I went, and it was already going to be in my, it was pretty in my 3 or 4 when I went to see it. When I was putting together my list before I saw it a second time. It was on my, it was playing in the top 3 to 4. So about 2-3 weeks ago, I rewatched it again with Ming. We did a reaction to it on this channel. And it was like, I couldn't believe how well everything else that was playing really well for me the first time played even better the second time. From Sean Penn's performance of what he's doing in this movie to the Vince McMahon walk and the ridiculous haircut, the crazy dialogue that's going on throughout the entire film, the setup in the beginning, leading us into this circumstance that everybody is put into. It just is such a epic film. And you're so engaged in the beginning where I've said this beforehand. I think the race is going to be between Leonardo DiCaprio and Marty Supreme and Timothy Chalamet, because everybody's talking about Sean Penn in this movie, and rightfully so. He's fantastic and disappears into this role. Leonardo DiCaprio is always playing against being Leonardo DiCaprio. Sean Penn can disappear into roles, and yes, for a long time, you're like, oh, it's Sean Penn, it's Sean Penn, it's Sean Penn. And yes, he's been a movie star for a long time, but you've seen him disappear. Leonardo DiCaprio is one of the biggest movie stars on the planet. When you see him, you have to be able to say, that's not Leo, that's Jordan Belfort, that's this person, that's this person. His character in Revenant. He's been able to do it. And he does it again here. He does it in this way where it's a different type of this vulnerable character. He did what he had to do when he was younger. He's now on his own with his daughter, played by Chase Infinity, another performer that I knew nothing about, never seen her before. And I said it in my out of the theater reaction. And I say it now. I said, who is that? She is going to be someone to watch. She is so good in this role, playing Leonardo DiCaprio's daughter, what she has to go through. She's got a great scene with Sean Penn at the end of this movie that is just top notch. I do think it's a disservice that they went after Best Actress for her. I think she should have went for Best Supporting Actress. I think she would have won. If she went for Best Supporting Actress. I think going after Best Actress was too much. And I think but she's going to be noticed, and she should be noticed because she's so damn good at it. And the chemistry that she's got with Leonardo DiCaprio, you believe it, that the relationship that they have, and he just wants to protect her. And when you have these and Benicio del Toro, by the way, I think I said it in my out of the theater reaction. I was like, this is a performance that if it wasn't for Sean Penn, I go give this guy the award immediately. He's so damn good, and he's already getting nominated for it. Him and Sean Penn at the same time. They might steal votes from each other. But Paul Thomas Anderson puts together this movie and puts it at a pace. I think it's like 2 hours and 45 minutes long, but never feels long. There are some movies sometimes they feel so damn long. You're like, oh, you could have cut 15, 20 minutes out of it. Never feels like it with this movie. And watching it on that second time and knowing as soon as it was over, saying, oh, I could watch this again. I could watch this again real soon. Because of how it's set up, the shots, the cinematography, the choices of how he introduces characters, by the way, and you're just walking through hallways with people, and the music that's playing to set up the tension in it is brilliant. It's really a brilliant film, and it gets better and better every time you watch it. So for me, that's it. That's my number one. That's my best, I should say. My best movies of 2025. I'm not sure what you guys are going to think. I loved them. I love those movies. Those are my top 10 movies that I enjoyed the most, and I recommend them to you guys. Now, I'd love to hear your list. Instead of telling me what I got wrong, tell me what your list is. Here are my top 10. Here are some that maybe you didn't mention at all that were really good, and if you didn't check it out, you should see it, because that happens a lot too. Secret Agent is another one that I would probably put as an honorable mention as well. So I would love to hear your thoughts. Let me know. Thanks for being here. Subscribe, comment. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your 2025. Think that I'm putting this video out on Wednesday, so this will probably be the last day that you can have in 2025. So enjoy it, and join me for 2026. We've got a lot of great stuff coming up. I've mentioned it many times. My pilot that we are putting together, crowdfunding, is very, very, very close in being announced as far as what we're doing and all that stuff too. I can't wait to share you more details once the new year hits. And that's it. So thank you. Join me for my most anticipated list. That's coming up real soon. Got some other things too. My friend Sam, who I've been friends with since the first grade, she just started watching Game of Thrones with me. Go check out those reactions. Got that and more coming up on the channel. So thanks for being here, and we'll see you guys on the flip side. All right. Bye-bye.